Greetings and salutations everybody, welcome back to a new video of mine. Now if you are new here, I like to make these little videos about things that I enjoy and want to share. Usually about film but not exclusively, and usually about horror but not exclusively either. This is one of those that kind of rides the line here, but before I get into any of that, here comes the usual YouTube stuff, and that if you like this video, please, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing and hitting that little bell icon so you get notifications for when I put up new content, which is once or twice a week, and occasionally I try to throw in a little extra one here and there. Feel free to check out my back catalog, stick around to the end of the video, and share this channel and video around, as all those things really help out a lot. Okay, so now that that's all out of the way, this video is about a recently released installment in the Predator franchise titled Prey from 2022. The synopsis for this film is as follows. The origin story of the Predator in the world of the Comanche Nation 300 years ago. Naru, a skilled female warrior, fights to protect her tribe against one of the first highly evolved predators to land on Earth. Now, before I go into what I love about this film, just some quick words about how I felt about the franchise as a whole, as, I think I actually even saw the first one in the theater, and even some of those crossover films like Alien vs. Predator. So, let's first talk a little bit about Predator, the first one. Great stuff. It's very well balanced. We got this great mix of action and mystery as being its core. We're sent on there, into this journey. If you didn't even know it was going to have anything about an alien in it, it's really just about some mercenaries and military personnel and CIA going on an operation in the jungle, and all hell breaks loose because of this predator hunting them. I thought it was great because we had this mix of the big testosterone-fueled action of the 80s films with this mystery that you normally don't get, and then they throw in a lot of horror and sci-fi aspects to it. Great stuff. And then Predator 2, the follow-up. This is another one that I actually enjoyed for the same reasons, moving that location to LA, focusing on what the police are doing about gang violence in the area, getting worse and worse, and that a predator happens to be there in that area because of that conflict, because it provides for good hunting. I thought it was really good, especially for the fact that toward the end of the film, in a brief moment in between, we get to see all the different skulls of different creatures that this predator had hunted. Among them, different alien creatures, something that looks kind of like a T-Rex, and even a xenomorph from the Alien franchise, which of course that got everybody talking about how we can ever see that crossover happen one day. One of the other things that really stuck out was at the end of it, Danny Glover getting this little ball and musket kind of thing handed to him. This old gun from 1715, and I'd always been wanting to see what would that be like if a predator was in the 1700s, and do they live that long, or is this something passed down through generations of different of those predator creatures, throughout their hunting or throughout their families and everything. I thought it was really cool to know that either they live a couple hundred years or they've been around hunting us for a few hundred years. And I'll get into that 1715 stuff in a little bit more detail in a moment. Now, Alien vs. Predator, this one was a little bit weak by some people's, opinion of it. Mainly being that it was PG-13, it didn't really focus on the action and the horror aspects as much as the mystery and the sci-fi. But I still enjoyed it nonetheless. Now, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, that was another film in the franchise. That's about all I can say about that. I wasn't really a fan, I didn't finish it. Maybe one day I'll give it a second chance. Predators, as I keep going through this franchise here, I believe they had Adrian Brody and Danny Trejo and a whole slew of other great actors in that. I thought this was great because they flipped it around, where instead of an alien or a predator coming to our planet to hunt, we had people kidnapped and sent to another alien planet. I don't really know if it was supposed to be the predator's planet or just kind of like a gaming situation for them that they use this area to hunt. But I thought it was really good because we got to see a lot of different kinds of characters in it, the pros and cons, like who's really a bad guy and who's just a badass. And we got introduced to the fact that there are different kinds of predators. There are ones that are kind of like the alphas compared to the ones that we'd seen in the initial Schwarzenegger movie. Then we had The Predator, which is completely different because they put the word "the" in the title, just like The Suicide Squad and The Fast and The Fury. Whenever they throw "the" in the title to make it different, I always question why they just couldn't say Part 2 or Part 3. But anyways, The Predator, it was a film that I watched all of. It leaned much heavier into the comedy than I would have liked. much further away from the mystery, much further away from the horror, much further away from the action. It was like a comedy sci-fi movie. I didn't enjoy it really, but I did give it a second chance, and on that second chance, I made it about 40 minutes in before I threw in the towel. I still just wasn't enjoying it. I know that a lot of people worked really hard on it, that's fine, but I don't feel like it was made for me. It was made for people wanting something much more funny. So, now this brings us to Prey. So, as the synopsis says, this is about 300 years ago with the Comanche Nation, and as they first encountered this predator. This one, in my opinion, really went back to the roots. So, as far as how they built this story and how they pulled us along into this mystery, because it leans on the mystery a lot more. It's very similar to the initial Predator film, in that this one is about a woman who is becoming skilled as a hunter and she wants to be taken seriously. She's not even seen as a threat, really, and that comes up in the movie. She's very skilled, but they seem to be pushing that she should be more of the gatherer and the farmer and the healer and the cook, basically. They just downplay any idea of her actually being a hunter, but while that story is happening and it's written in a very interesting way, and I care about all the characters, I care about her and her brother and her mother, I care about that entire group there, we get predator stuff happening. We get this mystery of what has been killing these other animals. There's something else in the area. This whole idea of how do you hunt something that's also hunting you. And we do get some interesting throwbacks. You know, a non-spoiler throwback was just one of the characters mentioning Schwarzenegger's line, and that if it bleeds, we can kill it. So I thought they did a really great job of kind of bringing this across, and not just in, say, let's retell the Predator story and put a Comanche top on it, kind of like a skin, as they would say, for gaming. They actually went further with that. And I think they did a really good job with it. They developed it very well, because if, for one thing, it followed a similar method that we'd seen in the original movie and, you know, seen in movies like Jaws, where we don't see this predator, we don't get a full reveal until about 45 minutes in. They really keep that mystery going, because now that we've seen other predators in the other movies, we know this may not be the kind that we're used to from the Schwarzenegger one. It may not be one of the alphas that we saw in Predators, and it may be something different than what we saw in The Predator, or even in any of the Alien vs. Predator films. So, you know, we get this big change to it. We have different group of people, different timeline, different setting. Learning about our main character kind of makes their conflict and resolution a lot more believable as far as how they're able to eventually overcome this predator. On top of all that, when they achieved this in a very slim runtime of about 1 hour and 39 minutes, which I think was perfect because it never felt padded. It never felt like it was running on. It never felt like we were wasting any time. The performances were excellent, the action was great, and the violence and special effects were very well balanced. And it was really a great ride, which, you know, obviously is why I'm recommending it. But at any rate, you know, just the fact that they set this in that 1715 kind of time frame, you know, within that area, really kind of fed into what I wanted to see after I saw Predator 2, knowing that there had been these predators either encountering us or something in the 1700s. It was great to see that. So I thought they did a great job bringing this one across, and my only disappointment was that it was on Hulu. I mean, honestly, I would have loved to have seen a movie like this on the big screen. If they ever decided to re-release it for a short theatrical run, I would spend the extra money out of pocket to go and see this on the giant screen. But it's not available there, and it is on Hulu, so it's a no-brainer. If you have Hulu, go ahead and give it a try. It's a good film. If you don't have Hulu, it's part of a bundle with some of the Disney Plus stuff, and, you know, a lot of these systems, you know, they have free trials and so forth. But it's definitely worth checking out. And speaking of checking out, thanks for checking out this video. Thanks for sticking around to the end like this as well, because with all those other YouTube things I mentioned earlier, it really does help out a lot. Be sure to hit that subscribe and hit that little bell icon so when you get notifications when I put up new content, which I should have another one coming up soon. And I will see you in the next one.